Hi, this is Cindy Fodor with StampTheLove.blogspot.com. I am coming to you today to show you how to do this Slimline card and a matching envelope using designer paper. It seems to be all the rage lately to make a card that's a little different size, and we're going to turn this one into a money holder or a gift card holder. And I'm using this new set from the annual catalog. It's new to me. It came out in June, and I hadn't used it yet, and I just thought this will be a great one to do as a masculine card. So let me just give you some measurements and details before we get started stamping. So the piece for my envelope, this designer piece, is 9 1/4 by 11 3/4. My card base, and I'll give you the scoring measurements for that when we do that. The card measurement, if you want the flap inside to do a gift card or money, is 9 by 8 1/2. So you take a 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of cardstock and just cut it down to 9. And so we're going to go ahead and start there. And I'm also using some of our Gilded Autumn designer paper. Both of these pieces are from that. And then I'm also using some of our copper foil because the design in this is copper. And so I pulled up some copper foil out to accent the card. The colors I'm using are Cajun Craze, Early Espresso, and Crumb Cake. And we're using a few tools, and I'll show you those as we go. So here's my card base. Like I said, I'm starting out with a 9 by 8 1/2 inch piece. And on the short side, I'm going to put it in my cutter. And I grabbed my old cutter here just because it was handy. I'm going to score the first score line at 3 3/4. And then I'm going to score at 7 1/2. And because I don't want to have to pull out my handle, I know that that's just an inch down from the edge of my paper, so I'm going to just use the inch measurement over here. Okay, hopefully that scored hard enough. All right, so there's my envelope, or my card. It's also a little pocket. So this piece, this little 1-inch piece, is going to get folded up. And I did forget to grab my bone folder, and I really could use that right now. Okay, and then there's my card fold. So I just have a little flap in here, and I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and just glue down the side so that in case I want to put some money in here or a card, it's not going to easily fall out, at least not out the side. It's going to hold money a little bit better and make more sense than a card just because of the length of this. So let me see if I can use my fingernail to get this to lay down a little bit better. Okay, so there's my base. My next piece, and I've already cut this, my Early Espresso piece is 3 1/4 by, I forget, 8 1/2. So it is just a 1/2 inch down from the measurement of the card. Actually, it's not because I did something wrong. I think I must not have cut this at 9 inches. Yeah, I cut it at 9 1/2 for some reason. Okay, let's fix that. I don't know why I did that. I was cutting the envelope, and maybe I messed up with that. So let's just cut the end off of that. And didn't cut the whole way through because it's several layers, so I'm just going to trim that up. All right, there we go. That should look a little bit better. Let me go back here and put some adhesive back in here since I cut that off. All right, there we go. That looks better. Then my next piece is my designer piece, and I just love this paper. It is just flat on the one side with a design, and then the other side then it's embossed. And I think all of the pieces in the set are like that, except for, yeah, I think they're all embossed on one side. So if you choose not to use the embossing, you can do that. And that's going to go here. Let me go ahead and glue that down. That piece is, yeah, let me just give you the measurements so that you have that. That piece is 3 by 8 1/4. So this one was 8 1/2. This one's 8 1/4. Just to review, this piece is a 1/2 inch less. If you look at that, it's a 1/2 inch less than the base. And the same with this side. And then this one is just 1/4 because I wanted less of the early espresso to show. Just a little hint on layers there. Okay, and I know some of you are still getting used to your new Stamp & Seal, and I'm using the Stamp & Seal Plus here. All I can tell you is if you need to watch a couple of videos, I love it. I don't have any trouble with it. Occasionally I will have to advance it with my finger, but so very rarely. I think it's just a practice thing, and getting your technique down. It's just a learning thing, and once your brain learns it, you'll be just doing it automatically. Okay, the next piece we're going to do is this piece of copper, and I cut this at 2 inches by, I believe, 7 inches. Yeah, because I cut it at 2 inches because I knew that was the biggest size that this label punch could hold. And I'm going to just stick that in there, and I'm going to punch both ends of that. And then I'm going to stick it into my in my stamp and die cut machine, and I'm going to emboss it with this little it's almost like a crosshatch design. So I just stuck it in halfway on one side and ran it through and halfway because it doesn't quite fit the whole way, and I didn't want it to show where it meets out here. Okay, these two come together, that's why I have those together. And I already did that, so I'm going to just pull that in here, and you can see where it met in the center. And I'm going to put lots of adhesive on here because this is wanting to curl up, and I don't want it to do that. So just a little tip on this again, and I try to show this each time. So I don't know if you saw there, it didn't want to run. So I came over to where I already had adhesive laid down so that it would catch on there and then continue, so that I didn't have to sit there with my finger and advance it. That just has worked really well for me. Okay, so there is that piece. The next thing that we're going to do is I cut a piece of Very Vanilla at 3 inches by 3 1/4 inches, which is the width of my early espresso. And I'm going to use my stamp set here. And in the Cajun Craze, I'm going to do this largest leaf. And it's just such a fine leaf. I can just picture this embossed in gold or something. Wouldn't that be pretty? There's that. And then I want this leaf in crumb cake. And I'm just going to cross them a little bit. Now, I also realized that I didn't really like how much white space there was. So I took my early espresso and just took a sponge. And I'm just going to add a little bit of edging here to take away some of the white space. All right, so that is ready to adhere to our card. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my tag. And I punched this out of Tasteful something. I forget what it's called. Tasteful something. It has a whole bunch of cute little sentiment brackets and tags. And so this is going to be a birthday card, so older and wiser. And I do want to add some dimensionals to that. Okay. Pop those babies off of there. Not in my typical video, so I don't have all my tools right at hand. All right, before I stick that on, I need to apply this. So I do want to, I'm going to glue this just flat down so that the saying stands up. Once again, because this is going over a lot of layers, I'm going to go ahead and put plenty of adhesive on that. And that's going to go right there. And then this is going to come in just here. And we could always add some ribbon to this if we wanted to. But I think that's very rich looking. There we go. I think that's really rich looking. Now on the inside, I'm going to add, I don't want to get in the ink here. I'm going to take this saying, which I thought was really cool. You are strong, you are loyal, you are true. And then I'm also going to add a happy birthday, which I forgot to bring. So that I'll have to add later. But I'm just going to put that to the side here. This will be for a special guy. And that's finished. Now, let me just close the inks really quick, and then we'll go to the envelope, which is really cool. I think you're going to like that. And you really, if you want to do this card, you really have to do the envelope with it, unless you can find some somewhere the size that you need, because they're not, we don't sell those. So they'll be specially made by you. All right. So let's review. This paper is, get my cheat sheet here. This piece is 9 1/4 by 11 3/4. We're going to start scoring with the shortest end at the top, and we could use the scoring tool, or since we have the cutter here, I'm just going to use that. I'm going to score at 2 3/8 and 6 1/2. So 2 3/8. And then 6 1/2. And this only goes to 6 1/4, but it's not terribly important, so I'm going to just guess the little, actually it goes to 6 1/4 plus an 1/8, so I'm just going to add another 1/8, and I think that's going to be pretty close. All right, now I actually scored that on the wrong side because I want to fold from this side, but that's okay. Now we're going to turn it on the long side. We are going to score, hopefully I did this right. The long side, yeah, the long side we're going to score at 1 1/2 and 11. So I'm going to do 1 1/2. And then once again, because I don't really want to open this and take the time to do that, I'm going to come down here, and I know that this piece is 11 3/4. So if I want 11, I'm going to come to 3/4 of an inch on this measurement and score there. All right, so I have all my scoring done. Now what I need to do is cut out all 4 corners. So I'm going to look where my score lines come together here. And there's one. So I'm going to cut out that corner. And here's one. And 2 more to go. You have to get in the right light so you can see that score line. Designer paper is very difficult with all the design in it. And one more. Looks like my scissors need some alcohol to clean them. They're very gooey. All right, so now it looks like that. This little part is going to be our bottom, and the larger flap will be the top. Now what we're going to do is round these edges. And so I got our triple corner punch, and I'm going to stick that in there and round that one. And round this one. And then I'm not sure, I think that I need to fold this so that I can get in here to round this one, because that edge is going to keep me from getting in there. There we go. You want to make sure you're against both sides so that it rounds evenly. Okay, there we go. And I forgot my sticky tape, but my tear and tape. But since I have Stampin' Seal Plus, I'm not too worried about it because I think it will hold almost as well as tear and tape. And there's not a lot of tension on this because it's not going to be, it's not like an open and fold card or open and close card. So I'm going to just put a whole row of adhesive down here along the edge. And I got a little bit over the edge, so I'm going to fold that in so that it doesn't stick out after I fold it. Just fold it in on itself. Makes it extra sticky. And then I can close that. And then I'm going to do the same with the bottom. And I'm going to close that one. All right, so there we have an envelope. Now we're going to make a little feature at the top to close this, and I'm going to use some retired stuff. I'm going to use our 3/4 inch punch, a handheld 1/16 inch punch, and some brads. So first of all, oh shoot, I forgot to grab some, well, let's use copper, just because I think I have scraps here that are going to work. See if I can fit that in there. I was going to use early espresso, but hey, copper works, right? Especially if it's already a scrap. What I wanted to do was put this hole in first in the center, but it's a little hard to know exactly where the center is, but I think that looks pretty good. And then it's a little easier to set this up so that that's in the center. For this one, I'm going to have to guesstimate. Actually, maybe I'll put them together, see if we can do this brilliantly. And stick that down in the center. There, that's pretty close. All right, now I want to brad this on here. So I will go ahead and put that where I think it should be. And I'm going to go ahead and, I probably don't need to put this hole because I think I can stick the brad through there. They're pretty sharp. Hopefully I didn't make the hole too big. See if my fingernails work tonight to open this brad in the back. I have glasses on, but they're really tiny. They're really hard to see. All right, so there's that one. And I really think I need a bigger brad. I need to find our ones from last year. And then I want to put one below it here. So I'm going to see, I don't think my punch will fit in there. So I'm going to just see if I can punch this through here. If not, I will grab a pokey tool to get through there. Oh, it bent, it didn't go. Actually, let me just grab my scissors since I don't see a pokey tool handy. Don't do this at home, okay? I'm trying not to push real hard. I'm just making a hole with my scissors. Okay, now it's going to be extremely tricky to get inside there. Again, take your pick tool would work really well in here. And I'm just going to bend that sideways. Now what I can do is take a nice length of my linen thread, because to get this started you have to wrap it really good first. So I'm going to stick this under here and see if I can get this wrapped really tight around that brad. And then that can stay on there. It's unwrapping for me, so I got to keep going till I make sure that I get it good and snug and filled in. Okay, there we go. Then I can close this and bring this up and wrap it around here. Okay, I'm going to leave that long because I think I'm going to wrap this a little bit more to get that on there. Let me go ahead and unwrap this, and let's make sure our card fits in here. And I think our card is going to look really pretty with that. Let me just turn that over here so you can see it. So we got a little bit of the seam coppery embossing effect. And let's see if it fits. Voila, there we go. It is ready to send. What a gorgeous envelope that somebody's going to get in the mail. It is a little heavy, so I probably will have to add an extra, I think it's 15 cents in the US for, well, I have to check too on the size, because, you know, sometimes they're oversized. Usually you pay more if they're undersized. So oversize is not, I don't think, quite as bad as undersize is, at least with our post office. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit more of that so that that stays, and come back here and I will close that, and then I can go ahead and trim that off. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Once again, called Slimline Card and Envelope. And I will try to post those measurements at the bottom for you so that you can check those out and make one of these cards. I hope you enjoyed it.